Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah.
All right, what's your name, age, and pronouns?
Robert. Age 37.
And pronouns?
Pronouns, he and him. That's fine.
Okay. Robert.
Yes, sir.
What are you calling to debate about? You're also very quiet, just FYI.
Okay, cool. Let's see. I guess all the points. I guess only one makes sense to me, but
So which one do you specifically want? Which one do you disagree with the most?
sorry, one second. Which one do I disagree with the most? Let me see.
So which one do you specifically want? Which one do you disagree with the most?
It's going to be,
Which one do I disagree with the most?
let's see. Well, I'm interested in your communism over capitalism. That's the one that confuses me the most.
It's going to be,
Why does that one confuse you?
well, I'm interested in your communism over
Also, you got to turn the stream off in your background.
All right, let me lower it. Yeah, all of them are debatable points for me anyway, but that one is just the most interesting to me.
What's interesting about it?
Why communism over capitalism?
Because I believe
First, I
communism
want
to
to
be a
understand your
system.
point.
Yeah, sure. I believe communism to be a system that decreases the amount of exploitation that's available in any economic system, whereas capitalism increases exploitation to its maximum degree.
Okay. Now is that something that people who just haven't made it there say, or is that just what is your reason for understanding that? If you're a capitalist, I'm sure you wouldn't disagree with it, correct? If you had a company making money.
I do have a company that makes money.
Okay, great. Then you do believe in capitalism.
No, capitalism isn't having companies. Capitalism would
Are
be
you just
the
person?
no. Capitalism would be the
Right.
privatization over the means of production. Just because I have an LLC. Just because I have an LLC that makes money doesn't mean that I own any means of production.
Own any means of production. Okay, that would be capitalism for means of production.
Yeah, capitalism is just the privatized ownership over the means of production.
Okay. All right, cleared that up. So you don't. Okay, obviously. Okay. On to topic number 6.
Okay. What about number 6?
I think the teaching of LGBTQ has just gotten out of hand in public schools.
Okay, can you
I
be
think we could
specific?
all agree with that. Anybody can.
Yeah, can you give me any specifics here of like what specific parts of teaching it have gotten out of hand?
The whole sex thing, we shouldn't even be learning that thing in school, should we?
Should we be learning like
Elementary
sex
school?
ed in school? Yeah, we should absolutely be learning sexual health education in school, 100%.
In high school, maybe. But Head Start, kindergarten.
Yeah, we should be teaching it. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
I want to know, how old do you think females are when they get their first period?
About 12.
No,
10 to 12.
no. It can be like around 9. I'm pretty sure is the average now in the U.S. But it can be as young as like 5 years old.
No way. Okay, well, you're talking probably extreme cases.
Yeah. That would be precocious puberty, but still the average age is going to be as young as like 9.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you're saying average. I don't know. You might know more about it.
Before we get too far into this, can I just ask why when we said LGBTQIA topics, you brought up sex ed? Because sex ed is an all topic. We don't just teach sex ed to like gay kids.
How we got into that. Oh, I was more talking about the sexualization. I don't know. I just see a lot of videos of drag queens and everything like that on, Instagram. Who knows what you could believe on that nowadays? But
what's the issue with drag queens?
That's pretty much my thing. Just the sexualization. I think kids are learning too much way too early. I don't think they should be learning about LGBTQ at all. Yes, sex, of course.
Wait.
Obviously, probably
Can
an
you
age
can I
aspect, but-
can I just know what the issue is with drag queens?
I'm sorry. Hold on one second. I was on a thought process here and kind of cut me off. There's no issue with drag queens. I don't have any issue with drag queens. I just don't think that kids should even be learning about what a drag queen is. I don't think kids should be at a drag queen. Anyways, it's kind of off topic. We're talking about in schools, but
Wait, but I just, why shouldn't kids know what drag queens are?
Why shouldn't kids know what drag queens are?
Yeah.
Huh, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I mean, if you can't figure that out yourself, I think that's
Well, you can't even answer it, so.
that's a question you have to answer for yourself. What I believe is obviously what you believe, but
Right, so can you
Come on,
answer it
man.
then?
what happened?
You're the person that believes kids shouldn't know what drag queens are, so can you answer that, like, why?
Can I answer why kids shouldn't know about drag queens?
Yeah.
No, I think we're getting off topic here. This isn't what I'm debating. I'm debating teaching LGBTQIA in school.
Okay, what
It has nothing to do with drag queens.
specifically?
I have nothing against drag queens or anything.
Okay, so I just want to point out that when
Yeah.
I've asked you like what specifically shouldn't be taught in schools, you brought up sex ed, which you then said, well, that's off topic. Then you brought up drag queens, which you then said is off topic. So what specifically about teaching LGBTQIA plus in schools should we not be doing? Because you don't think you should be doing it, but you can't tell me why or like the specifics on what we shouldn't be doing.
I think that it confuses the general. It's confusing to kids. LGBTQIA, you're born male or female. Okay. Once you start hitting puberty, anything like that, all right, cool. Go down that rabbit hole. But
What about it is confusing? I've met plenty of kids who understand like gay people exist. So what's confusing about this?
I guess we got to break it down. What is a kid to you?
Anybody under the age of 18.
Anybody under the age of 18 is a kid to you. Okay,
Yes.
I could agree with that. But I'm talking more the young kids.
Uh-huh. Let me
I'm
ask you a
talking
question.
Elementary school.
If I have a kid who's 4 years old and they have two dads, do you think this kid is confused or this kid is just like, yeah, I have two dads, chill?
I definitely think the kid would be confused. Yeah,
About what?
about having two dads. Where's mom?
Why
do my classmates have mom, and where's mom at in my picture?
Okay, so what about a kid whose parents are, or a kid who's like mom is dead? Would they also be confused? Or a kid who has an absent parent?
No, that's a totally different dynamic.
What's different? They'd
And
also
again,
be like, "Where's mom?"
my-
I don't understand. What's different here?
You're coming at it like if I'm trying to have some animosity towards LGBTQ. I don't. All I'm saying is I think there is an age where these topics should be introduced. Elementary school, I don't think is one of them.
What age should kids start to learn that gay people exist?
All these other sexualities, LGBTQ. It's just confusing.
Wait, what age should a kid learn that gay people are real?
I'm not talking about gay, bro. Okay, you're making it really hard.
What does the G in LGBTQ stand for?
Gay or lesbian?
Friend.
Talking about when you get into the
Friend.
cis, when you get into the
Friend.
the
Robert. Friend.
Yeah.
Friend.
Yeah.
What does the L and the G in LGBT stand for?
Lesbian and gay. I got you, bro. I got where you're coming from. But you're bringing out the two most common that have been down in centuries. I'm not talking about those two.
Okay, great. When should a kid
Come on, man.
learn that bisexual people exist?
I'm not talking about bi either.
So you're
Okay,
only
what do you
talking
want to
about.
talk about?
What is
He's
the Q
quite
stand for?
literally
What does the
only
Q stand
talking
for?
about trans people. You're only talking about trans people.
No, I'm talking. What does the A stand for? What does the I stand
Asexual. Intersex.
for? Okay, so you're introducing all this other stuff. Look at, again, I don't know if we can agree that it kind of becomes a little confusing. Even me, a grown adult, I'm
Robert,
finding it hard to catch up.
Wait.
The only person
There it
here-
is. Hold on, Katie. There it is. You think kids find it confusing because you find it confusing.
bro, no, don't condescend.
That's what you
that's
just
not what it is.
said.
Just because I'm
You just said
brother.
we can agree that even we find it confusing. It's getting all confusing. The only person here confused is you.
Yes, people who aren't part of the LGBTQIA community. Sure, yes, we're a
Jovan,
little confused.
when did you join the club?
I don't know. I'm an honorary member, I guess. Baller.
I didn't know that you were one of us. Oh my god.
One of us is crazy.
What are you?
Katie's pointing out the fact that I'm not part of the LGBTQ community, but I don't find it confusing. Let me ask you a question. Do you think a kindergartner might find math confusing, like algebra, or calculus or geometry?
Of course.
So because they find those advanced concepts confusing, what do we do to introduce them to math?
Again, you're not learning algebra until what age? What grade?
But in order to understand algebra, you have to be introduced to basic mathematics.
Yes, exactly.
So we teach math.
You need to learn male and female, and then you get on to the other equations.
So we teach math at an age-appropriate level so that you understand the complex concepts later in life.
Exactly. So bring those complex ones later in life. Exactly. You said it perfect.
Yeah. We just don't mean as late as high school. Can I just ask Robert a question? Because I just want to know.
Oh, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
What does asexual mean?
Asexual, I would think it means that you don't have a preference, or I guess you don't think in that way.
Right. Yeah. So a lack of sexuality. An asexual person isn't going to typically experience sexual feelings. So what's wrong with a kid who is learning about sex ed, which I think should be taught earlier on, because puberty starts around the age of 9 upwards.
Sure.
Typically. Sure. So what's wrong with a kid who's learning about the fact that sex exists, learning that there are people who are not interested in that?
No, sex existing, that's one thing, but like I'm saying, we're bringing all these introducing all these new things.
Yeah, you didn't hear my question.
All right,
you interrupted. You didn't hear my question.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I probably didn't. I'm sorry. I'm just ready to fire off. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what's wrong with a kid who's learning about the fact that sex exists, learning that there are people that do not experience sexual feelings?
Oh, okay. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, great. So we've got asexual is off the list. It's fine for kids to learn about asexuality. What's wrong with them learning about people that are interested in have sexual feelings towards more than one gender? What's wrong with that?
Again, nothing wrong with it. I see where you're going with this, and you are just right to an extent. Correct? You are right. You're
great.
Right. People, we should be learning that there are other people out there that have other preferences.
Okay. So is it just learning about trans people that you have an issue with?
No, it's at what age do we find it appropriate?
At what age do kids? Wait, I got to follow up.
Okay, you kind of got me you got me against the wall here, because why shouldn't they learn that there are these other preferences? Correct. But
I have
the style in teaching that, again, I've been seeing this online, that they're doing is kind of just weird. I don't, just sexual books that have sexual innuendos in them.
Robert, can I just? I want to answer your question, right? Because you said, at what age do we start teaching kids these things? Let me answer your question with a. Let me answer your question with a question. At what age might a child see a trans person in the wild?
Okay.
What do you think?
What? I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
At what age might a child see a trans person out and about in public, in a public setting?
Probably. I don't know. Any time, at any point, probably.
Okay, then that's when we should start teaching them that trans people exist. When they can see that trans people exist.
Do you think trans people should be allowed to be teachers?
Again, I guess we're getting off on the. I'm not saying they shouldn't know they exist. I'm talking about the teaching, the style of teaching. Just bringing that whole
Yeah,
kind
you're
of.
talking about books, bro. You're talking about books, which has nothing to do with teaching, by the way. The fact that people write books isn't what teaching is. That's not curriculum.
You believe, Robert, you believe that
Okay.
books about like the LGBTQ and whatnot shouldn't be in like elementary schools and stuff?
No. Definitely not. I'm not saying that. Let me just turn it on you guys and ask you a question. What curriculum, besides learning that there are these LGBTQ, that sounded weird saying it like that, but you get my meaning, that there are, what is the extent of teaching we should be doing then to introduce
Teaching
our kids
history?
to?
Yeah, I think we should.
LGBTQ history?
Yeah, I think going over the history in like history class, in social studies, talking about family and friend circles and how LGBTQIA plus individuals make up that sort of thing. I think from a very young age, we should be teaching kids about their own bodies and consent and the names of their private parts so that they can protect themselves from assault. Like, we should be teaching all these things from like kindergarten up. We just make it age appropriate.
Sure. Okay. And those are valid points, of course. So it is not to teach everybody that, oh, you were born male or female, but hey, you can do this. You don't need to be that. Whatever you feel in your body, that's what you should be.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, I don't know what the issue would be telling kids like you can be what you want to be. Whatever you feel is valid. You don't have to be what we tell you.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole therapy and chopping off your dick.
That's not teaching.
I'm
That's
sorry.
not
be what you want to be.
I'm sorry. Can you find me one example of an elementary school teaching somebody that they can chop their dick off?
Like you said, right? If you feel that way.
Also, by the way,
okay to feel that
Robert, be quiet. Please be quiet. Because that's not being taught. That's not being taught because that's literally not what happens. Trans women who get bottom surgery do not have their penises chopped off. That's not what happens. So nowhere is that being
chemically castrated.
Second of all, that's not. Please give us the curriculum, because first of all, it wasn't curriculum you were talking about. You were talking about books, right? Now you're saying that they're being taught about therapy and they're being taught about surgeries. Show us where.
So kids don't go to therapy for hormone blockers, and where do they get these from?
That's not school. Therapy
not from school.
Isn't happening.
Yes, I know from
school.
therapy, but there's a guidance counselor. There's somebody that they talk to first at the school, and the counselor tells them exactly the rhetoric you're giving me right now.
Where?
It's okay
Where?
if your feelings say that it's okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, Robert. Do you think it's not okay for kids to feel different?
Wait,
look it. We should all express our differences. We should all express our differences, right? I think we could all agree on that.
Can we?
So what I'm saying is, when it starts becoming a psychological thing, when we are trying to push this toxic masculinity, when we're trying to push this get rid of masculinity, it's there's got to be a line drawn somewhere.
Can you show me one evidence of any? Wait,
young ages,
Robert, can you? Robert, I need you to provide me some evidence anywhere of a school curriculum that teaches children that masculinity is bad and we need to get rid of masculinity.
You do it by chopping off the penis, by the way.
I guess it's more of a social thing, right? I mean, girls over here looking bonkers right now, like she's losing her mind.
Yeah, because you're talking about conspiracy theories.
I'm asking you guys to tell me what age do you think that is appropriate to learn these things?
No one is arguing about learning that, because you are not talking about teaching. You are talking about medical practice. When a guidance
I
counselor...
guess I'm talking.
Okay,
I turned it
hold
into
on.
a whole social thing.
Excuse me, Robert. You've talked enough, actually. Thanks. Everyone has heard
I
enough
think I
from you,
turned it
Robert.
into a social
So,
thing. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. If a child goes to a guidance counselor or someone in the school and says that they are experiencing some kind of significant distress, and this guidance counselor says you should be referred to a doctor, a professional, what's wrong with that?
I guess nothing's wrong with that when you say it like that.
Well, that's what would be fucking happening.
Right. And then the therapist comes and starts doing all this other stuff, right?
What's all this?
No.
What all this other stuff is in what? What is all this other stuff?
Use your imagination, brother. Come on. I don't need.
Do you think that children have access?
You know what's going on.
You're playing games. You're not answering questions directly because you're full of shit. So answer the question.
Do you think you guys don't answer anything?
We've answered every question.
Every question you've asked.
Literally answered every question you've asked.
Do you think that children are having access to surgery?
Not anymore.
When were they?
Ooh, the last 4 years.
What kind of surgery?
Chemically castrated surgeries.
What is? Can you tell me what is a chemically castrated surgery? I don't even chemically castrated in surgery.
You know what that is? What do you want me to go into the?
Yes, I do. Hold on, Katie. Yes, I want you to go into the details. Yes.
Sorry, brother. I don't got that for you.
Because you don't know.
No, I don't.
Yes,
do you know?
because yes, I do. That's why I know that you're wrong because you're making shit up.
Educate me.
Yeah. So trans kids. I don't believe you're going to soak any of this up, but we can try. Trans kids.
Oh, I'm going to soak it up. Don't worry. I mean,
right.
We'll see if you know what it means. Like Katie didn't know what PCOS was, but we'll check it out.
What are you talking about? Katie absolutely knew what PCOS is. Are you just making shit up now?
I didn't know if it was genetic, if that's what you mean.
You were baffled. You didn't know. But go ahead, brother. I'm listening.
Bro, you're trying so hard and it's not working. Anyway, trans kids who may receive medical affirming care would start on puberty blockers when they're around 12. Typically, 12 is the average age of pubertal suppressants, which will suppress their puberty for anywhere between 12 to 24 months. So they and their family and their doctors can figure out if they want to move forward with hormone therapy. Then around 13, 14, 15, we tend to see the average age of children going through hormone replacement therapy, where they will take the opposite hormones to whatever their like hormones that they had through their original sex development. So this could be estrogen, testosterone, all the other ones. Then, if they want to, we see around 15, 16, they may be given the option for top surgery if they have breasts and want to have those breasts removed. And then for bottom surgery, almost everywhere in the country, you must be 18 and up. So I'm just wondering which kids are getting chemically castrated and where, because none of what I just labeled is chemical castration.
No, you're right. Nothing that you labeled is chemical castration.
Okay, so where are kids getting chemically castrated?
Again, I see it just all over online, dude. I can't give you a personal experience.
Okay, do you know what I see online a lot?
What do you see?
Videos of vampires. Does this mean vampires are real?
I guess fitting.
But because I see it online, does this mean that it's real?
Shit. No, it doesn't.
Okay. So do you think it's possible you have fallen for right-leaning propaganda that has taught you something that is untrue?
It is very possible. I will give you that. It's very possible.
Okay.
Do I think that is so? No, I do think that there are kids getting chemically castrated.
But you can't provide any evidence of it happening. And you've agreed that what I labeled, which is gender affirming medical care, is not chemical castration. So
no, that is not chemical castration, but still we will agree to disagree on that one because I still think that is
why are we agreeing to disagree when you can't provide evidence of your side and you've agreed with what I've said about my side?
No, I agreed with you calling me out and saying that I can't provide evidence. Correct, you're right.
So why should we agree to disagree if you can't provide evidence? I'm not going to agree to disagree. I'm going to say I have evidence and you don't.
Well, that would just be stupid. That's fucking debating.
Okay.
That's me arguing.
Nope, that's how debates work. But anyway, shout out to Elizabeth on Venmo as well as Marco on YouTube for the Pays to Kick. Holy shit, what the fuck?
By the way, interesting fact. I'm not sure about the average age of first period being 9. I've heard that for the US, that it got lowered down to 9, and I found a lot of information talking about how the starting age was getting lower in the mid-2000s, but can't really find anything on current average.
I'm showing the average is still around 12, 53%, around 12. But either way, it doesn't really change the conversation at all.